Hey guys, just a quick note before we begin. Wanted to promote WonderCon, which is the comic book expo. It's actually comic books, RPGs, and gaming that SoCal Malifaux will be at this weekend. So starting Friday the 16th, we'll have a tournament on the 17th, and also more demos and open gaming on the 18th as well. Also wanted to show this off while Krampus is out here. Have a look at this. Really cool. These were cards that Adam made for us for our SoCal Malifaux group. You can see the little jokers there. Some artwork, email, Facebook group. But it's not just a card. On the back, you can see that you've got a little bit of reference going on here for combat totals. Red Joker, Black Joker, then you've got a Soulstone cache here. Now what's so awesome about these is that these cards are not just double-sided, they're also laminated. So we tested them out this week, and you can actually mark them with a dry erase marker, like you're playing a game. Fill out your Soulstone cache, and then as you use your Soulstones, you can track that. So just wanted to show that off and say thanks again to Adam for taking care of that for us. These cards are going to be spectacular, we think, and we're looking forward to meeting a lot of new people at WonderCon, getting together with some friends, playing some more Malifaux, and that's about it. What do you think of that, Krampus? Do you approve? I think he does. So, once again, try to meet us out at WonderCon if you're going to be in the Southern California area. This Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's the 16th, 17th, and 18th. And that's enough of a commercial, so let's get on with Ramblin' about Ramos. Okay, so now that we've kind of covered how to manifest, or a couple different ways that you can manifest, what's the big deal? Why Avatar Ramos? Why are you in such a hurry to get out Avatar Ramos, and why is he the one of the avatars that you want to take fairly frequently? Well, Avatar Ramos does a lot of things admittedly better than standard Ramos. There's some stat increases. For example, his defense goes up to 5, so that becomes, he actually goes up to average defense. He gains a respectable walk charge, and he gains Melee Master. In addition, Avatar Ramos, it's way easier to summon constructs with him. He's way better in combat as Avatar Ramos. And gaining scrap counters is painfully easy with Avatar Ramos. So, one more thing that I absolutely love. When Avatar Ramos is in play, all friendly constructs gain +1 walk charge. That is gigantic. The Ramos crew is, they're fairly mobile in that many of them are arachnids, or that they're burrowing underground, or they're, floating landmine things. So they're fairly mobile, but this makes them a little bit faster. Your arachnids are going to be a little bit faster. Guys like Joss, the Steamborg Executioner, also a little bit faster. And he just gets some really interesting play options. So, Ramos becomes more of a melee beatstick type thing. More mobile, loses the casting expert in favor of melee expert, and also loses, obviously, the mobile toolkit. So, getting tomes is getting these to come out a little bit harder with Avatar Ramos. But usually you're using Avatar Ramos to get in there and mix it up. You're using him, he's not the support master that he was before. Now he's a true melee, get in your face, tank you, and beat you up a bit. So, Avatar Ramos, pretty awesome. Avatar Ramos has this really cool ability. Now we're going to talk about scrap counters. So let me back up for a second. So, as regular Ramos, To get a scrap counter, you either have to blow up a construct that you've brought into play or your enemy has brought into play, and that can be pretty unreliable, or you have to do the 2 action to salvage, and that just gives up a crazy amount of AP. Avatar Ramos, on the other hand, has several ways of getting scrap counters. So one of the easiest ways is actually him just getting hit. So every time you hit Avatar Ramos with an attack, he gains a scrap counter. Avatar Ramos also has a 1 action this time to go to net himself another scrap counter. And these scrap counters allow Avatar Ramos to do a number of things. So Avatar Ramos has this ability called Innovative Design, which will allow him to discard scrap counters for things like additional attacks, for healing flips, for additional armor. They give him a lot of versatility. The other thing that Avatar Ramos can do, which is really awesome, is you can take 2 scrap counters, and you can summon certain other constructs that you normally wouldn't otherwise be able to summon. So we're talking 5 stone value constructs, non-unique, non-frozen heart, non-burning heart type of constructs, guild or arcanist constructs. So what we're talking about specifically are things like the Warden model, which is not out yet, the Watchers, which are okay, 3 stone model, but whatever. And one of my favorite things to summon is large steampunk arachnids. So large steampunk arachnids are pretty awesome, actually, because they come with the melee expert. Now, it's going to take a couple of wounds as it comes in, and it's going to be slow, but it's got melee expert. So if you do it at the right time, let's say Ramos is getting jumped in combat, and he's trying to fight off a bunch of things at once, and he might, if a bunch of enemies are hitting him, as long as he's alive, every time he's getting hit, he's generating a scrap counter. So he could generate a bunch of scrap counters in a turn. And then when it's time for Ramos to activate, then he can go discard 4 and go bam bam, and 2 more large steampunk arachnids are now in the combat, and they're going to have 2 attacks each. That's pretty dangerous. So those are just a few of the things that Avatar Ramos can do. There's actually quite a bit to his new and different playstyle. Becomes much faster, much more melee oriented, and easier to manipulate the scrap summoning aspect of Ramos. And these things all combined with the stat increases and so forth make Avatar Ramos a really good avatar to take in most situations. This is not the kind of avatar that is going to be very situation specific. This is a good general use avatar. Even in low points, I found, if and the way I look at it is, if the Avatar Ramos kit to me is 5 stones, because it's Ramos, which is free, then the mobile toolkit, which is 3, and then 2 for the avatar, so that's 5. You don't really lose much, though. Like I said, the way you manifest the avatar is when you get rid of this guy, you net yourself a scrap token, and you may make yourself a spider out of that. And so you're really trading a 3-stone model for a 3-stone model. If you do it the fancier way, you could net yourself a 3-stone model and a soul stone, and maybe even another scrap counter, depending on how you do it. So that's just a basic overview of Avatar Ramos. Wanted to thank you guys for this section, for watching this part of it. Very fun avatar to play. Highly recommend picking him up. In fact, I recommend it so much that if you read my article on the SoCalMalifaux.com, it's one of my recommended opening buys is to start with the avatar, and that's very unusual. But in this case, Avatar Ramos makes Ramos an easier crew to play, an easier crew to understand, and then you might be along the learning curve, kind of like how I did it. You might at some point learn to kind of hold back on ongoing Avatar Ramos all the time, or even play some games without Avatar Ramos where you just don't think it's going to be necessary. So that's it for this section. Thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for our next episode of Ramblin' About Ramos.